Sign up for the free WagerTalk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.
Hey guys, Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com with another edition of Stoppage Time. This is the Nations League and World Cup qualifying edition of the show. Two huge semifinal games going on Wednesday and Thursday from Italy, and we are going to cover both of them on the show. And then a couple of World Cup qualifiers. Not the greatest card in Europe, so we are going to go to South America for one of their big games, and of course, North America, where we will look at the U.S. men's national team and their game against Jamaica. With me to cover these games from SportsMemo, Pavlos Laguretos, and from WagerTalk.com, it's Nick Borrman and the Irishman, Kevin Dolan. Kev, I'll bring you in first. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, all good, Carmine. Had a nice winner last night in the Argentinian League. Banfield Cologne under, cashed their 5% NFL top play on Sunday to Arizona Cardinals, and so that's going well, but apart from all that, just regular life stuff, maybe not so much. Had to go to Dublin yesterday to get stuff done. I was stuck behind a tractor for absolutely miles on the way back. About a third of the journey roughly, and this is the main road to Dublin. And then I get back to the house to find no internet. So, this is a country, like, if you like farming and looking at cows, it's absolutely fantastic. But if you're trying to run a business here, it definitely adds a bit of stress. But, we got a few big price client plays up for the midweek slate in soccer. We're working on the weekend international card right now as well. And obviously excited to break down some of these games on today's show.
Awesome. Good to hear about it. Not about the tractor or the traffic, but better a tractor than a road full of sheep or whatever it is that you guys run into every once in a while there. Nick Borrman, any tractors in your area, or everything good? And how was your week?
Listen, I grew up in Iowa. I learned to drive a tractor when I was 8 years old. That's all I knew. Now I'm in New Jersey. They don't have many tractors around New Jersey anymore. So I sympathize with you, Kevin. But that was a great part of my life. And yeah, there's the 2-lane roads. You can't pass anything. So I get it. That sucks. But all's good with me. I in my own personal life, bought a new vehicle last week. That was exciting. My car can't fit 8 kids in it, so I had to, upgrade. And then soccer plays. Had a great week last week until Sunday sucked. Sunday gave some back, but I was Monday through Saturday. I had won 6 straight days, so that was a great run. So hopefully rebound after Sunday and start off. I didn't have any plays yesterday, nothing today, and then back to the grind here tomorrow with Wednesday through the weekend.
All right, good to hear. Iowa, man. They recently had a couple of baseball games there at the location of the Field of Dreams. Speaking of dreams, the man living the dream in Europe, Pavlos Laguretos. My friend, how are you doing?
Doing great. And the only thing I know about Iowa is the fact that Slipknot, one of my favorite bands, started off there. So, I'm coming off a very, very good weekend, back-to-back winning days. Last 30 days, I'm number 3 handicapper at SportsMemo, number 1 in soccer. Again, last 30 days. I'm on a 5-0 run since August 29 in 5% and 10% soccer bets, and a 17-2 run in all soccer sides since September 12. So it just can't get any better than this. And I have a big 10-unit play money line for Saturday, and a couple of 3-packs for Saturday again and on Friday. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm on a great run, and I'm looking to keep it up this weekend.
All right, that's great to hear. And speaking before we get into these games of myself, a great start to October, 18-6 run, going back even into September, a 14-3 soccer run. So things are heating up. I am going to have a promo code after the first game that we cover here, where you can get a 7-day all access package, a great deal on it for any of the guys on this show. So make sure to jot that down and take advantage of it at SportsMemo and WagerTalk.com. All right, guys, we are going to kick off these games. First one right off the top. This one is played on Wednesday at San Siro, Milan. It is Italy and Spain, semifinals of the Nations League. Italy plus 130. The draw is plus 210. Spain is plus 240. Kevin and I will break this down, but I'll go first on this one since I have the lead on it. Listen, as I said, this one's going to be played in San Siro, Milan. It'll be interesting to see whether the Italian fans boo Azzurri goalkeeper Donnarumma, a former AC Milan player who left to go play at PSG. But I have to think it's still, he's playing for your nation. He's playing for your country. You are now going for a record 37 games unbeaten. They're at 36 now after that draw, after that win, 5-0 win in World Cup qualifying over Lithuania. These two teams met recently. We remember the semifinals at Wembley of the Euro Championships. Italy got the 1-0 early lead in the second half. Federico Chiesa putting them ahead before Spain came back with an 80th minute goal by substitute Alvaro Morata to send this one to extra time and penalty kicks, where Morata eventually missed the penalty kick and Jorginho sent Italy on to the finals. So what happens here? It's probably a similar type game. In that game, that was the first time in that competition in the Euros where the Italy team could not play their game, where they couldn't attack. They didn't have a ton of ball possession. It was all Spain in that game, probably 65% possession. But Italy, while they suffered defensively, they held on, played a fantastic game. And I think we're going to see something similar. I think Mancini probably makes the changes in this one. I think the bigger story here is the injuries leading up into this one. For Italy, you have Andrea Belotti missing. You have Ciro Immobile missing. Only Immobile is a starter, or can be considered a starter. Belotti came in off the bench. And Immobile on the international scene has been pretty flat. He's been off form, didn't do very well in the Euro. So it's not a big miss for me. If Chiesa was missing, it'd be a little different, but Moise Kean will get slot in there. It's the omissions for this Spain team, which I think are the important ones. You look at what Spain is missing: Gerard Moreno, Alvaro Morata, Jordi Alba, Pedri, Dani Olmo. That's a list of some pretty good and impressive players missing for this Spain squad. So we'll see what they can do and what their manager does to put a team together. Ultimately, this is going to be a game that's played similar to the one we saw at Wembley Stadium. Whether there's an advantage for Italy playing at home, we'll have to see. But these are two quality sides. I still think Italy, being in form and playing extremely well at the moment, will get this win and head into the finals of this Nations League against the winner of the Belgium-France game. So give me Italy plus 130 and a prop bet, Italy to win 2-0 plus 900. That's my play on this game. Kevin Dolan?
Yeah, well, as you said, we talked about this game back in the World Cup qualifiers we did a few weeks ago. And, as you just said again, we all thought Spain should have won that Euro semi-final. For the most part, they were the much, much better team. And ended up going out in penalties. Italy definitely seemed to have suffered a bit of a hangover since that Euro triumph. Just one win over the last three games. Matches, it must be said, you'd expect them to sweep in. No real, big opponents. Switzerland's not a bad team, obviously, but so Spain will likely feel somewhat confident about coming here. Getting a result in this game tomorrow night off the back of two good performances themselves over recent games. I was reading earlier that Spain haven't beaten Italy in Italy since 1971, so that's been a bit of a while. And look, I'm not a particular fan. I said this in the World Cup qualification breakdown. I don't really like Luis Enrique's managerial style. And as you said, the Spanish are missing a host of key players heading into this one. But, motivation-wise, everything else points me to Spain here. Immobile being out, that's absolutely no addition, because he's been like Casper the Ghost in that Italian front forward line. 9 goals, I believe, in 30 games. That's not going to inspire, any type of fear in international defenses. And, at the end of the day, for me, it's just Italy just won the Euros. It'd be no doubt be fantastic for them to pick up 2 international trophies, move on into a final in, say, a couple of months. But, the Nations League, to me anyway, it's effectively the Europa Conference League of international football. So, yes, they'll want to win it, but will they be overly motivated for this game is my question. I think the Spanish, because of that semi-final loss back in the summer, should have the bit between their teeth. I believe they'll be the more motivated of these two teams, get some revenge over Italy and try and get some silverware into the bank as a result. And, I think this is going to be a real tricky tie. I think, this could well end up going into extra time like we saw in the summer. I picked up a 1% play on the outright draw plus 212. I like that. And if I was picking a side here, if you're going to give me a quarter goal head start here on the Spanish, even with those players out, that's likely the way I'm going to look to play this one. So, yeah, the outright draw, I like that. Spain for me plus a quarter goal as well. Those are the two bets that I'd be on in this game.
All right. Kevin Dolan of WagerTalk.com with his take on this one. And yes, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I always talk about you win a championship in any sport, there's a bit of a hangover. And that could be thought about with this Italy side. But I think that hangover came in their first two games in qualifying, World Cup qualifying after the Euro Championships, where they drew against Bulgaria at home and Switzerland in Switzerland. But a 5-0 win again over Lithuania probably got them back on track. So hopefully that hangover is done. We saw France after that World Cup struggle a little bit in their games following that. Guys, before we get to the next game, which is the Belgium-France game, it is $2 Tuesday at WagerTalk and SportsMemo. As you know, $2 Tuesday is where you can get a featured Cappers Plays for only $2 over at WagerTalk.com. It's Tony Finn. Tony Finn is on a great run in NFL and college football. You can get his play for only $2. And then over at SportsMemo, I love this one, guys. Available now at SportsMemo is the Gold Sheet. You can get the Gold Sheet for only $2. Let me tell you a little bit quickly about the Gold Sheet because this is one where, listen, I'm in my early 50s now. Yes, I don't look it, but I used to get the Gold Sheet in my early 20s. Up here in Canada, it would get shipped to a bookstore and they would only have two. So there was literally, if you wanted information coming from the US and coming from Vegas and a good source on games, this is the way. That there wasn't information on ESPN or any of these other shows. The Gold Sheet was the standard and still is. Back then it was, I think I paid $8 to $9 for it. You can get it for $2 over at SportsMemo. So grab that play, and there are some great NFL and college breakdowns in that, and some best bets. So $2 will get that for you. All right, guys. One last promo. This is the show promo. We talked to the guys. Everyone is doing fantastic right now. You can get a 7-day all-access package for either Kevin, Nick, or myself for only $69, regular $119 when you use coupon code WC50 at checkout. So code WC50 will get you $50 off that $119 price at checkout. And over at SportsMemo, you can get Pavlos's 7-day all-access package for only $59 when using coupon code WC30. So head over to SportsMemo. He has that big card coming up on the weekend, a bunch of cards, so you can get those all for only $59. All right, next big game, and to break this one down, it'll be Nick Borrman and Pavlos Laguretos. It is Belgium and France. This is being played on Thursday. This is being played in Turin, Italy. The odds on this one, Belgium plus 210. The draw is plus 220, and France plus 145. The total in this game is similar to the one in the Italy-Spain game, 2.25 goals. That is a split line of 2 and 2.5. Nick Borrman, give us your take on this one.
Yeah, this is obviously a very tough one to call. I mean, I think the game's probably decided by one lucky or unlucky bounce, depending on which side you're on, of the ball in this game. I mean, recent form, if we look at that, both in results from the summer Euro tournament and the September international break suggest Belgium is in better form. They went 3-0 in the group stage during the Euros. They beat Russia, Denmark, Finland, knocked out Portugal in the round of 16. Then they've lost to eventual champions Italy in the quarters. In September, they cruised to 3 easy wins in the World Cup qualifying, which honestly for these top tier teams is generally pretty easy, as each group is only going to really have 1, maybe 2 worthy opponents. Estonia and Belarus, obviously no match. They did beat the Czech Republic 3-0 in September. France, they were arguably in the toughest group in the Euros, that group of death, which they did win. They had a win over Germany, but they had a draw against Hungary, which hurt them, and a draw against Portugal. But they were knocked out in the round of 16 by Switzerland, blowing a 2-goal lead after the 80th minute before finally losing on penalty kicks. So definitely alarming there to see them concede like that. During the September international break, they beat Finland, but they settled for 2 more draws against Ukraine and Bosnia. So they just don't seem to be getting results right now. That being said, though, of course, France is the team that has proven themselves on the big stage in these big tournaments. They, of course, have the World Cup win in 2018, in which they beat Belgium 1-0 in the semifinals, which is the only head-to-head meeting between these teams in recent history to look at. Belgium ranked #1 team in the world, of course, but they've never won a major international tournament, and they really just haven't proven that they can get over the hump. But that being said here, I would look at a slight lean to Belgium, only because I think this game is a coin flip, and like I said before, I think one bounce of the ball could determine this. So I would go slightly lean on Belgium grabbing the plus quarter of a goal. But I really like the under more so, which is 2.25 right now. 2 very evenly matched teams. I don't think either one of them is going to find a lot of space in the field to work with. And in knockout style tournaments, which we saw a ton of matches once the Euros got into the knockout rounds, end in like that 1-1 type of a draw before going on to extra time or penalties. I think that very well could be how this thing plays out too. And even if one of the teams does win 1-0 or even 2-0, this still covers. So I don't see a lot of goals here. I like under as my favorite place, and if you're going to look at a side, I would go with the Red Devils in Belgium.
All right, there is Nick Borrman of WagerTalk.com with his take on this Belgium and France game. These teams met in the 2018 World Cup with France winning 1-0. I still remember the Belgium team complaining after the game that France really didn't play football. They literally just sat back, absorbed, and didn't want to open it up. But that's how a team with a lead will play at times. Pavlos, I'm going to go to you next on this one. I remember before the Euros started, you made a bold statement that you believed France would struggle in the Euros. And while they did make it to the knockout stages, they actually really did struggle in that tournament as one of the favorites. Give me your take on this one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that there is something wrong with France, but they've been the biggest favorites to win the. They're among the top 3 favorites to win each tournament. I mean, the bookmakers expect so much of them, but judging by what we've seen in the Euros, there's not. I mean, even after the Euros, their first match after the Euros was a home match against Bosnia, and they played for a 1-1 draw. And then their next match was at Ukraine, another 1-1 draw. And of course, they beat Finland at home, but France, they're always strong at home. And Finland didn't even have a shot on target in that match. But I guess that if they did have a shot on target, maybe France could have conceded, because their defense just looks pretty bad and really, really shaky, at least judging by what we've seen during the summer and in the World Cup qualifier so far. And when I look at their defensive backline, there's going to be Varane, who is, okay, he's a good center back, plays for Manchester United, but then Kimpembe and Koundé, I mean, these are guys that are not, I would expect a France side to have better center backs, but, and that's not the only problem they have. Also, Kanté is out, which always, Kanté is always a mad dog in the midfield. He never lets anyone have an easy time, and he's an excellent player. So he's going to be out as well, and Pogba and Rabiot are going to be the defensive midfielders in this team. Pogba is nice, but he has his ups and downs. He can maybe score 1 and assist 2 goals, but he can also get a red card for fighting other players. So he's really a controversial player, and Rabiot is just a kind of mediocre player, ravaged by injuries throughout his career. I just don't see France keeping a clean sheet here. But when you look at Belgium, of course, I personally say it in every show or every write-up that I do. They have a great generation of players, but that generation, we've been saying this for, maybe 5 years now. This generation is getting older. And now their defensive backline, because it's really important to see, they have Jason Denayer, Toby Alderweireld, who plays at Qatar or China, I don't know where, and Dedrick Boyata. So there could be goals here, but we have to keep in mind that both goalkeepers, both Courtois for Belgium and Lloris for France, are top-class goalkeepers. I don't trust the defenses all that much, but the numbers are like this, and I also like Belgium on the pick'em. It's plus 115 right now on the at DraftKings, but an alternative way to play this is getting the combination of Belgium or tie and over 1.5 goals at minus 105 in the event of a 1-1 draw or a 2-1 win for Belgium or a 2-0 win for Belgium. The thing is that I don't really trust, France right now. They're going to have to be better. And my main point for picking Belgium here is the fact that they have never won a major tournament. I'm not saying that the Nations League is a major tournament, but this might be their only path to some silverware before this great generation of players just gets older. And last but not least, they're going to have Kevin De Bruyne back, who is probably the best midfielder in the world right now. And I expect them to give, a ton of pressure to France here. So I like Belgium here.
All right, Pavlos Laguretos with his take on the second semifinal, Belgium and France, which goes on Thursday from Turin, Italy. And as far as, I'm just going to say it one more time, I have to say it, I'm Italian. In the European football world, right now it is Italy's world and everyone else is just living in it, Pavlos. So I will put it squarely there. Now let's leave Europe for a second. We are going to go to World Cup qualifying. This one is in South America, Belgium and Colombia. Let's look at the odds of this one. Uruguay and Colombia. Uruguay plus 100 at home. The draw, just a second here. The draw is plus 210 and Colombia is plus 300 in this game. I'm going to go to Kevin Dolan shortly on this one. I'm going to give you some quick thoughts on this one. The qualifying in South America is always tough. We normally see, obviously, the teams we expect to see at the top, Brazil and Argentina. Uruguay are there finally after picking up 7 of 9 points in early September in the last 3 games of qualifying before domestic leagues kicked off again. They had a rough start to the qualifying, as did Colombia. The problem here with Colombia is they sit 5th. Top 4 make it into the World Cup. 5th will play a 2-game playoff. They're not even guaranteed to finish 5th in this. The one problem I have with Colombia, it's a team that I think right now lacks any creativity whatsoever. They're grinding out some draws. On the road, they're 1-3-1 away from home, and they have yet to play the 3 powerhouses as I see it in Brazil, Argentina, and this Uruguay team. If Paraguay, who currently sit in 6th, can start picking up some wins, it may be a tough task for this Colombia team to make it into the World Cup next year in Qatar, or Qatar, as some people will say. My thoughts here are very simple. Uruguay play extremely well at home, especially in World Cup qualifiers, and especially against Colombia, where they have gone 7-2-1, losing only once. Winning the last 3. I am going to take Uruguay plus 100 on the 3-way betting line, and Uruguay to win 1-0 exact score plus 450 in this one. One caveat to all of this is make sure you check on game day to see if any players are missing. We saw in the last round of qualifying with some of the countries being in classified as red zone countries. Some of the EPL teams did not release their players to play in these qualifiers, so you might be missing some of the top guys in these games. So you want to make sure before you place your hard-earned money on any of these games that you've checked that out. Kevin Dolan, give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it is a tricky game on Thursday. Both teams unbeaten the last 5 over this qualification run, both coming off good wins as well, you'd say. So it does set up nicely here on Thursday between, these 2 teams, both looking to secure that automatic qualification spot. At first glance, I was drawn to Colombia here, catching a half a goal head start. But, the Colombians, they have such a poor record historically in Uruguay. Just 1 win over the last 20 years or so, I believe. Although they did beat Uruguay on the road over the summer, knocking them out in penalties in the Copa America, albeit that game was in Brazil and not Uruguay. For me, we know this is expected to be an extremely cagey affair between, two good teams, but similar to like NFL games lined in the 30s, it might cash, but pretty much everything has to go right for you to cash an under 2 goals line. And that's what we're seeing here on Thursday between these two. Colombia's last 5 games have averaged 3.6 goals per match. 7 of Colombia's 9 games in qualifying have gone over the total as well. And, even Uruguay games are averaging 2.6 goals per game. So, when you've got a total lined at 2, I think there might actually be a slight bit of value on the over here. Over 1.75 trend at minus 148. As we always say, a simple bounce of a ball, a penalty, any of those go wrong against you, and 2's a very low total. So, the 1.75, as I said, minus 148, that's showing that could be another way in here. So, yeah, slightly into the over for me on Thursday, but, in all honesty, probably not something that's going to make my card, but that's definitely the way I'd be looking if I had to play this game.
All right, Kevin Dolan of WagerTalk.com. You can get his 7-day all access for only $69 with coupon code WC50. Same goes for Nick Borrman and myself. So head over to WagerTalk.com and take advantage of those deals. And of course, at Sportsmemo, you can get Pavlos Laguretos' 7-day all access for $59, regularly $89 with coupon code WC30. That's WC30. I know it says WT on the screen, but it is WC as in World Cup 30. All right, guys, final game. We are heading to the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying for this one. Nick Borrman and Pavlos Laguretos are going to break this one down. It is USA versus Jamaica. USA minus 275. The draw is plus 375. Jamaica plus 700 in this game. The total is 2.75, which is a split line of 2.5 and 3. Nick, I'm going to go to you first. USA sit in a tie for second place with Canada and Panama on 5 points behind the 7 of Mexico. This is still a big one. USA haven't looked very impressive thus far in World Cup qualifying. They started with a couple draws before getting a 4-1 win in Honduras. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, one thing to know here is you got, if you look at some recent results for Team US, you have them obviously winning the Nations League in June, which was probably the strongest roster they fielded in years. And when the Gold Cup happened and then the September call-up window, neither of the rosters was quite as strong as that one. So do keep that in mind. You have guys like Pulisic out and Giovanni Reyna out with injury concerns for this call-up. But this is very much the same team we saw, as you mentioned, Carm, in September when they did struggle a little bit. You got Weston McKennie. He should be back playing. He missed, I forget if it was 1 or 2 of those September games for disciplinary reasons. And then, of course, you have Tyler Adams in the squad, Sergino Dest, that young Ricardo Pepi, who's 19 years old and killing it in the MLS, who probably will be off to Europe, maybe even in the January window. Only one of the Roldan brothers is on the squad for this trip, but still, I mean, USA, there's very little argument against them being the better team here. The problem is will they, cover a goal and a half? 2 draws in that first one. Everybody was panicking, right? There was quick talk of Berhalter getting axed as manager. They're going to miss another World Cup. Of course, then they won that third match 4-1 against Honduras, and now they're right back in the number 2 position just behind Mexico. Jamaica, they were winless in September. They had losses to Mexico and Panama. They drew against Costa Rica. In the Gold Cup during the summer, Jamaica lost 1-0 to the U.S. in the quarterfinals, which was the 3rd straight loss for them to the U.S., each of those coming in the last 3 Gold Cups. Ultimately, like I said, U.S. is the better team. I expect them to win this match. I'm not 100% comfortable on laying the goal and a half. Their offense hasn't been clicking. They've had slightly different rosters every time they've been called up, which is normal for any sort of national team with injuries and such. But they just haven't been able to really gel yet. But I do think they'll win. And one way you can play this is pair U.S. just to win instead of laying the goal and a half, and pair it with the under 3.5 goals. You can get that around minus 125 I'm seeing right now at DraftKings. In the Gold Cup, U.S. won 5 of their 6 matches by a 1-0 scoreline. and they conceded just 2 goals in the three September games. So like I said, I don't necessarily expect their offense to be fully firing, but their defense has been solid really over the last several months. So I think U.S. is going to win, maybe a 1-0, maybe a 2-0, and they do cover that score line, or even a 2-1, and we're going to cash this ticket. So U.S. plus under 3.5 goals is a great way to play this one.
All right, that's Nick Borrman of WagerTalk.com with his take on this game. Pavlos, I'm going to go to you for the final word on this one. I have to kind of agree with Nick. I don't want to lay the -1.5 here in these games. There's been a lot of tight games in this one, and while Jamaica didn't look good in their first 2 games of qualifying, both losses, they looked pretty good in that 1-1 draw against Costa Rica in Costa Rica. So this is another one. This is probably a team that is a little desperate and will need 3 points. It doesn't mean they're gonna get them, but this could easily be a 1-goal final. So taking the +1.5, you cover here. What do you think?
Yes, you guys made some excellent points about the absences, about the squads. I have to add that Ricardo Pepi, he became the youngest player to score when he scored against Honduras. He's having a tremendous season, and as Nick said, he's probably going to leave during the January transfer window. And but I like his odds to score anytime here. He's at +120. Maybe not so great, but if you look at goal scorer props, I have to remind you guys that Jamaica has a new weapon up front, and this weapon's name is Michail Antonio. The guy from West Ham, he's having a tremendous season so far. He scored 6 goals and 4 assists in 8 matches for West Ham in the Premier League and the Europa League combined. He is a very explosive attacker. He's going to be a genuine threat to USA. But the thing is that he only played 1 recent match with Jamaica. He's been on and off the team, and that match was a home loss to Panama by 3-0. And the thing is that even though he's a very good player and very explosive and very talented up front and all that stuff, he just didn't get the balls that he needed. He didn't get any solid passes. Jamaica were unable to create any type of game for him to score any type of situation. So this might change here. This is not a very easy match for USA. Nick mentioned USA to win and under 3.5 goals at -130. I like the 2-1 correct score for USA +900, and USA to win by 1 goal +190, and possibly Michail Antonio to score anytime +300. I'm not so sure if USA can keep a clean sheet, so maybe both teams to score at +125, but I like Nick's USA to win and under 3.5 goals, and possibly the 2-1 correct score, and USA to win by 1 goal at +190.
All right, Pavlos Laguretos of SportsMemo with his take on the USA-Jamaica game. Some great World Cup qualifiers coming up, as well as those 2 Nations League games that are being played on Wednesday and Thursday in Italy. And the final will go on the weekend. So that'll be great to watch those ones. All right, guys, we're back. Just one final thought here, guys, or one final promo. Obviously, it is $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk and SportsMemo, where you can get a featured Cappers Place for only $2. Tony Finn at WagerTalk.com. He's having a great run in college football and NFL. You can get his play for only $2. Included that with that are some great promotions in the analysis section. So make sure you take advantage of those. And as I talked about before, at SportsMemo, for the first time, you can get the gold sheet for only $2. The gold sheet is the standard sheet out there with a ton of information in college football and NFL. $2, and you can get that that downloaded gold sheet as well. I've been buying the gold sheet for 30 plus years, so I can recommend that with confidence to you. And of course, our show promos get a 7-day all access at WagerTalk for either myself, Kevin, or Nick for only $69 when using coupon code WC50 at checkout. That'll get you $50 off the $119 price. And at SportsMemo, you can get Pavlos' 7-day all access for only $59, regular $89 when using coupon code WC30. So take advantage of those codes. All the guys have a ton of packages up. As I mentioned, a great start for me in October, 18-6, including a 14-3 soccer run dating back to the end of September. So I'm on a heater right now. Great time to take advantage of that 7-day all access. We will be back next Tuesday with a couple more World Cup qualifiers and some domestic league games for the following weekend. So again, thanks for tuning in, guys. Subscribe, hit that like button, and as always, good luck with your wagers.
If you like betting on horses, be sure to check out WagerTalk.com's own Sig, who zeroes on one racetrack at a time, offering his handicapping skills. Visit his homepage daily for his top selection in each race free. If you want all his selections for that track, you can get his full racing report for just $9.